Good morning, good afternoon to everyone, and welcome to our cloud coaching session today. I am Violeta. I have with me Christian. Today is a premiere for the cloud coaching sessions. So first time both moderator and presenter sharing the same room in the Oracle office in Bucharest. And sorry for the background noise during the session. I hope it won't be disturbing anyone. Before we move on with the session, I would like to say that we have Luis, Carlos, and Sachin here today to help you in case you have any questions during the session. And we have saved also 5 or 10 minutes at the end for the Q&A part. I have here Cristian, who is a cloud networking specialist based also in Bucharest, Romania, together with me. And I will let Cristian to tell you about some stuff about himself shortly. Before I go and I invite Cristian to the floor, I would like to mention to everyone in this call that this webinar was designed for an educational scope. So in case anyone would like to use our services further, you may connect with somebody from the Oracle account team. Also, for all the ones watching our sessions recordings in the future, keep in mind that our products are enhanced regularly, so you might find some differences within the Cloud Console menu. That was all on my side. Cristian, the floor is yours.
Thank you, Violeta, and welcome everybody. My name is Cristian Sarafoleanu. I'm a cloud networking specialist here at Oracle, part of the OCI domain team. And here I'm handling, of course, everything related to OCI networking and OCI network security. My background is quite simple. I'm coming from a network and network security background in the last 2 decades. So this is what I started at the beginning, and I find myself still doing networking 20 years in the future, right? So this is what I like, and of course now I'm doing cloud networking, which is a bit different. So this is in a nutshell a few words about me. Now, for today's session, we are going to focus, let's say, on web application firewall, on OCI WAF, but it's not just about WAF, and this session is not meant to be a product session. Yeah, it's just a demo session where we can see how OCI WAF blends together with load balancer, with DNS to put together a solution. You will see in a few moments my lab scenario, right? So this is kind of the idea today, to go through all of these services, to touch a bit on all of those services and how they can blend together in a harmonic way for a solution. Okay. So let's start. Now, I think that a lot of you know already about our WAF product, yeah, which is a cloud-based web application firewall, and has a lot of capabilities to suit every requirement for a specific customer, right? We can do protection rules, rate limiting, block unwanted bots, right? And it's going to the WAF is going to be able to protect your application no matter where it resides. Yeah, so we can protect applications that are going to be in OCI, yeah, in our cloud network, but it can be on-premise application, it can be in any other cloud vendor, right? So our WAF is capable of protecting those targets also, right? Now, in terms of the customer benefits, right? We bring WAF policies that can be enforced on internet-facing web applications and or public flexible load balancer instance. So we actually have two flavors of WAF, so to speak. Yeah, one is our Edge WAF, yeah, which was the initial version, and it's still here with us. And you would use Edge WAF mainly for protecting applications that are maybe not within OCI, that are not hosted in OCI, but maybe on premise, let's say, or on any other cloud vendor, right? And WAF that is enforced at the load balancer level, which is what we are going to focus today, for applications that are, let's say, hosted on Oracle Cloud infrastructure, right? And our WAF can protect also internal applications and not just internet published application. Yeah, so you can protect both external and for both external and internal insider threats. Like I said, it supports access rule, protection rules, rate limiting, and boot management. There is a mention here for the boot management. This capability is for, as of right now, only for WAF Edge, not just yet for WAF at the load balancer level. Yeah. Next slide, please. So, although, yeah, I said that this is not a WAF product session. Yeah. On this slide, you can see all the capabilities. And for example, with the access control, you can restrict or control access to your critical web applications, data, and services. You can do control access based on HTTP header information, and you can block requests if, I don't know, HTTP header contains specific names or values, or allow traffic with proper HTTP regular expression. You can control access based on URL address matching or partial matching or match proper URL regular expressions. And you can do regional access control to restrict users from certain geolocation, right? So this is for access control. For boot management is going to be, again, with WAF Edge, right? It's going to identify whether requests are coming from human or machine, and it's going to be able to block non-human suspicious requests. For the protection rules, you can use these rules to protect your application against malicious cyber attacks from bad actors. And incoming requests are going to be inspected to determine if it's going to contain an attack payload as compared to industry-leading threat feeds. We support over 250 rule sets, and we support rule sets from OWASP, for example, right? We can block and or alert on requests for SQL injection, cross-site scripting, HTML injection, and many more. With the rate limit, you are going to be covered against layer 7 DDoS attacks, and it's going to allow inspection of HTTP request properties and limit the frequency of the request for each unique client IP addresses. So those are, in a nutshell, the high-level capabilities of our WAF service. And with that, I promise I'm not going to say too much about WAF as a product in general. So let's move to the lab session, to the demo session. So thank you, Violeta. Now here is the a very simple architecture for our demo test today, and I'm going to explain what we are going to do today and how is exactly our lab constructed, right? So I'm going to use Frankfurt region for the main scope of this demo, but you will see that I'm going to use also other regions during the test. So
Cristian, you're not sharing yet, dude, just FYI.
Yeah, yes, I know.
Okay,
I know.
sorry.
Yes,
okay.
I know. I'm just explaining right now, and I will share in a second. So just to explain a little bit about what you see here in the slide, yeah. We have a VCN in Frankfurt where we are going to use two subnets. One is going to be for load balancer. The second one is designed as a web tier subnet where I have an application deployed in a compute VM, right? While we are doing this, let's also share the screen. So you can see now that you have maybe in your mind the diagram from the slides, you can see the live demo session right now. So this is my VCN. It's a 10.0/16 VCN. I have three subnets, but for the scope of this demo, we are going to use only the web tier subnet and the load balancer subnet. I have an internet gateway. I have a very simple route table pointing everything towards internet gateway. As you can see, both the web tier and the load balancer tier for the scope of this demo are public subnets, right? And you will see at the end why I mentioned this. So this is the VCN with the subnets. Now I also have the load balancer. Let me show it to you. This is my load balancer test LB1. It's a public load balancer. This is my listener public IP address. If we have a look on it, the overall health is okay. Now I do have, of course, a backend set. Now on my backend set, I only have one backend server. So this is the backend set with my compute VM, which is an Oracle Linux VM, and I have a personal. So that site that you saw on the diagram is called alphashop.ro. Is my own personal site. It's a simple, I'm not using it for anything. It's just a simple HTML message behind it. So when you are going, if you want to try it, yeah, just don't panic. It's using a self-sign SSL certificate. I'm doing also SSL offloading on the load balancer. Yeah, this is my 10.0.2.2 compute VM that sits behind the load balancer. From the listener's perspective, I have one for HTTP and HTTPS. Of course, you can see that for HTTPS I'm using SSL. So this is what I said, that I'm doing SSL offloading. So if you try and you get that warning message, don't worry. It's not a malicious site or anything like that. It's just my self-signed certificate, right? And I also have, see if there is anything that sticks out. Here I have a redirect rule from HTTP to HTTPS, right? Now let me show you also my compute VM. So this is my app VM that I'm using for my site. As I said, 2.2 is the IP, nothing specific or out of the ordinary with this one. It's just an Oracle Linux VM. Okay, now, like I said, I have my own site and I have my own domain, right? So let's see how DNS fits into the picture. Now, on my local registrar for my domain, where I purchased my domain, I have entered and redirected my site towards OCI DNS name server. I delegated my my site towards OCI, and here on the DNS management, I have a zone created, which is going to load right about now. It should, which is called alphashop.ro, right? And inside my site, when you create a zone, yeah, inside my zone, you will see we'll see in a second, the DNS name server that you can use on your, let's say, local registrar to delegate your domain. So this would be the name servers, the 4 name servers, right? NS, NS2, NS3, NS4, right? And I only have a simple A record. Actually, I have more, yeah, Alpha Shop, I have www, right? And this, if you can see that 242, right? It's actually the load balancer listener, right? So let's just review it one more time. To see that the public IP address that I have on the A record is associated with my the public IP from the load balancer. I don't know why today it's a busy day. Yeah, so 242, if you recall, that's the load balancer, right? So without further ado, let's move now to the WAF. Now, for our session today, we are going to use access rules. We are going to showcase the rate limiting, and we are going to also use make use of the protection rules. Yeah. So we are going to try to use as quite a few capabilities. Yeah. Customers not always will enable all of them. of course, but in today's session we want to cover all three features. Now, I mentioned that even though I'm using Frankfurt as a main region for my lab, I will also use Australia and London, just because I need compute VM to initiate something from those locations, right? So I have their compute VMs, Windows machines, just to be able to browse and to try to access my my site. And just because the corporate, I'm here on the corporate network, and there are some restrictions, I'm going to use our Bastion service to connect to those compute VMs. And I also have one in Frankfurt here, which I'm going to also use. So let me show it to you. This is the Windows VM Frankfurt, and on London I have one Windows VM, and I have one more in Australia, right, which has been stopped, so I may as well start it back. So until that machine will start, let's focus now on the WAF. Yeah? So we go to Identity and Security, Web Application Firewall, and we have policies. So I will show you how we can create a WAF policy. I will actually simulate one creation because I already have my own. So let's do that. We can just go on and hit create a WAF policy. We need to give it a name. I don't know. Let's say Apache policy or something relevant. Let's get this off the way. Okay. So we go next, and let's enable access control. So we enable access control, and what we want to do with this access control, we want to restrict access from a specific country, for example, yeah, from a geolocation. So we just say, okay, add access control. We need to give it a name. We can put SCL geo rule as a name. And for our scenario, let's say that we are looking for country region that is, and I had to pick something far away, yeah, to not be from Europe or United States. So I'm sorry if somebody is from Australia. That was my my scenario, right? So as long as somebody tries from Australia, they will not be allowed. Now, of course, the use case for that would be, for this feature would be that you have a shop maybe, and it's only intended for, I don't know, US citizens, for example, yeah, and you can use that feature to allow traffic only from North America, for example, USA. Okay, and since when this is going to be meet, what we can do, we want to block this, yeah. We create a new action, let's say, I don't know, ACL let's say, block Australia, right? And we want to also return HTTP response, right? And let's say this is going to be, I don't know, unauthorized, right? And we can also display a message saying, I don't know, access is being restricted based on your geolocation. Yeah, just as an example, right? And we add this action, we add the access rule, and this is how it's looking. Yeah, ACL geo rule block action name block Australia, we call it. Yeah. Next, rate limiting. We want to enable also rate limiting. So let's add a rate limiting rule, and we can call it rate limit. And for my example, I have prepared from Frankfurt. This is from the machine here. I also have from Romania, but I don't have a way to actually showcase. I don't have access to my home computer from here. So we'll use Germany, yeah. And we are going to say, I don't know, request limit. If it's something that it's to showcase for today, yeah, of course, this would not be a production example, right? 5 tries in 5 seconds for 5 seconds active once the rate limiting is going to be it's become active, yeah? And then it's going to reset and we can try again if needed, right? So path condition, yeah, country region is Germany, yeah. We said that this is where we want to test it. This is the rate limiting configuration, yeah. And what we do with the action, let's say create new action, we call it I don't know, we are going to send an error code, and maybe that's going to be 429, yeah. So we can call this also 429 to response code. There is one here with too many requests. That seems adequate for the rate limiting, right? And we can also say here, you know, I don't know, URL rate limit exceeded, for example, right? And we add this action. Yeah. URL rate limit exceeded, and we add the rate limiting rules. And this is how it's looking. Yeah, rate limit DS, action name, we call it 429. We'll review it also at the end. Next is the protection rules. So let's enable protection rule, which is, let's say, the core of any web service. And maybe we'll call this OWASP rule just because we want to enable the top OWASP rule. So as a rule action, we can say let's hit return unauthorized, right? And this is the default one that is going to pop up also on the screen, right? And now the protection rules capabilities. There is already a filter applied by default by recommended, and if we input OWASP, it's going to filter even more, and it's going to present us the top OWASP, which are also with recommended. And if we enable all of them, there will be 50, yeah, 50 if I'm not mistaken. So we can say chose protection capabilities and add request protection rules, right? So now we have 50 protection rules with 401 response code action, yeah. Then the next option is where we select the enforcement a firewall, right? That would be a load balancer in our case. And here would be my test LB, but I already have one attached, right? And at the end, we get the last page with review option, and we can just see what we verify again if everything is how we want. Yeah. Now I'm going to cancel this one because I already have my my own, which is exactly the same, right? Let me show it to you. This is the policy. This is the geo rule from Australia saying when it's going to be hit, yeah, that it's restricted. On the rate limiting, I have two, just because I mentioned that I have also Romania, but I cannot show it to you today. I will only show the Germany one, yeah, which is going to say that rate limit exceeded, and the protection rules it's pretty much quite the same thing, yeah. So now these are the this is the WAF policy. Now my shop is very simple. So if you try alphashop.raw, it's going to say only this, yeah. And of course you are going to be presented with this not secure and so on, just because I have the self-sign certificate, like I mentioned. Now let's see. So I have my let's start from Australia. I have my VM running there, so let me just try to connect to it. So I will do RDP by tunneling and using our Bastion service with port forwarding option. Let's try to connect. So let's try AlphaShop. Yeah. Okay, we'll continue. I'm pretty sure. And as you can see, immediately we are being restricted. Yeah, when we receive that message that access is being restricted based on our geolocation because we are coming from Australia, and this is not allowed. Yeah, this is how we build our setup, right? So we leave this for the moment. We can stop this one, and now let's go to Frankfurt, right? Give me a second. Go to Frankfurt and see what's going on. So let's forget about that one and we try it again. That was something from my testing. As you can see, everything looks good, right? So this is the message that we received. Yeah, site is on. But let's try refresh it a few times. You see, already we receive URL rate limit exceeding, yeah. And now the rate limit feature has kicked in, yeah. And we are protected, and we are taking measures against this type of attack, right? You see, 5 seconds has gone, and we can start over, right? Again, I put that interval small just to showcase that, yeah. So everything looks as intended also from Frankfurt. Now let's see from London now. The last one. Maybe. On the bastion. This is the bastion service in London. Oh, yeah. So the session has been expired. No worries. We can build another one. So let's create a new one. It's going to be SSH port forwarding. We call this session 3. The IP address was 91. So that's the IP address. We are going to need 3389. Let's use my public key and let's create the session. It's going to be created in a moment. And I'm going to take the SSH command. I will just modify it on my side a bit with my private key. Okay, let's copy the command. And let's try again. Okay. And for UK, I have 13,000. Okay. So we are in UK. Now, if I try Alpha Shop, everything looks okay. Yeah. So let's do something. I'm refreshing. Yeah. I don't hit any rate limiting rule from UK, right? You see, I can do this all day and nothing will happen. Now, from here, we want to just simulate some kind of attack by, injecting a script into the URL. So if we try this one, yeah, let me try to just give me a second. Paste. And you see, we get unauthorized default code 401 message, which means that the that WAF has been spotted this and has been taking measures, right? Although, yeah, our site is looking fine. Yeah, we can do this all day. So this was also from UK, and we have managed to showcase the access control rule from Australia, the rate limiting from Germany, and the scripting blocking from London. Yeah, it can be from anywhere basically. Yeah, that's just where I chose to test from, right? We can also look on some logs. Yeah, so these are the logs for my load balancer. Yeah, and if we query this, I don't know, the last 3 hours, there have not been too many attacks, of course. Yeah, so for example, this is the scripting, and you can see request protection OWASP rule. Yeah, so this means that this has been hit by the protection rules. Yeah, and measures have been taken. And if we look somewhere around here, we need to search and be very lucky also to spot the rate limiting. Yeah, for example, or the access rule. So let's see, 948. Let's see if we can find something. In some tries, which is making our search a bit more difficult. Let's do something. Let's connect to Frankfurt. To initiate something again. Rather than just searching. Okay. Okay. Now we should have second to go to the load balancer again. These are the logs. Waiting to load. Access logs. And let's hope that there haven't been additional tries in the last few minutes. At least not many. Let's see. Rate limit. Yeah, so we are lucky. Request rate limiting deal. Yeah, so that's the confirmation that rate limit rule has been enforced, right? Now, this concludes the demo session for today, but we still have one more slide to go. So let me stop sharing. And Violeta, if you can. Yes, thank you. So I said that was a lab test, but here on the last slide, before we close, I want to actually present how an workload architecture would look like. Yeah, that would be an example where everything can be put together. Yeah, and we, besides you know, the load balancer, the WAF, we can have a firewall, and that can be our OCI network firewall. It was not included in my session today just because we have already plenty of sessions on that topic, and my colleague Sachin has been covering this quite extensively lately. And there are plenty of materials from him. You will see it on the slides. You will receive it. Also blogging, yeah. So plenty of materials on OCI network firewall, but of course it can be any other type of I don't know, next generation firewall from any of the vendors like FortiGate, Checkpoint, Palo Alto, and so on. Yeah. So ideally you would have a firewall to protect at least from to do north-south traffic inspection. In this case, workload would be again an application that needs to be exposed to the internet, and this is how the routing should look like in this scenario, where we need to send the traffic to route it from the internet gateway to a private IP of the firewall, and then the traffic will hit the load balancer, which is of course protected in addition by our WAF. And in this example, we are also using a hub and spoke like architecture, where we have a secure VCN with the firewall and the load balancer and the WAF. And for production, yeah, there is a separate VCN with, at least in this case, I put here a two-tier model, yeah, with the app tier and database tier. Of course, the load balancer backend set would consist in more than one compute VM. Yeah, ideally maybe 3 if it's Frankfurt. You can do 1 per availability domain or per full domain, whatever you want to choose for high availability, right? This is also, if it's a database, you most definitely use service gateway for backups for the database to the object storage. Maybe there is also can be a NAT gateway to do outbound only internet access for updating and patching your application, maybe, yeah. And as you can see, the web tier, it's a private subnet, not public, right? Public subnets are required just for a secure VCN, where we have the firewall to inspect the traffic, and then in our case we have an application that it's published for clients over the internet. So we need that listener to come from a public subnet. Of course, we can have, this is just an example, we can have a fast connect to on-premise also, and IPsec site-to-site connectivity. We have the DNS service in here to handle DNS mapping and to be used here in OCI, but of course that can be your own choice. You can host your own internet DNS zone on premise or in any other with any other third parties, right? So I just wanted, before we close, that to actually show how this would translate into a workload architecture. And remember, this is just a prod VCN. I illustrated here just because it has already, it's a little bit busy, but imagine that usually alongside with the production environment, there are also dev test environments. Those would be additional VCNs attached to the same DRG in a hub and spoke architecture model. So with that, we are at the finish. I hope this has been informative for you. I don't know if we still have time for questions, or if I didn't pay attention to the questions so far. My colleagues are. So thank you again for attending this session.
Thank you. Thank you, Cristian, for this great presentation and demo. Thank you all for joining our call. We hope you enjoy it. And of course, waiting to see you soon in the cloud coaching sessions. Thank you and have a great day.